Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of P3. And I'm still waiting for many of those fans of that particular show to join us. Hopefully, there'll be an influx. But in the meantime, we can settle for all the Neverwinter fans. Today, we're going to be obviously discussing the VIP CDP that just happened. It's all finished. Today, we brought with us a little bit more variety. We've got some experience and we've got some people new to the game. We have some console players as well as like some PC players. So we have, first off, just so he doesn't feel bad, Timmy, who brought the donuts to the meeting today. Go ahead, say hi, Timmy.
How's it going, everybody? Non-glazed this time.
Oh, thank you very much for that. We have Ranger Reek, who I'm sure you're all aware of. Regular streamer, a long-time player. Ranger.
Hey, what's shaking?
That's right. He decided to bring the tunes. He always has the best tunes on his podcast.
Oh.
We have my partner in crime and occasional Neverwinter streamer, although it is near and dear to her heart. We have Backpedal.
Anna's in the house.
That's right. We have, lastly, another big influencer in the community. We have Lord Willow here to talk about
Lastly?
stuff. Yeah, well, no, not second last.
Wow.
And then we also have Cosmic Trigger, who is a new player to Neverwinter, new streamer to Neverwinter, and it's been fun to watch his streams. Cosmic?
Appreciate that.
Hey,
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So on to the topics here today, right? So we just finished the CDP on the VIP. And so I guess one of the things that jumped up to me was why was it VIP? Because we were pretty much expecting rewards and progression next. So what was your first thought when VIP was the thing? Let's start with you, Timmy.
Well, either way you went about it, either way, you need to admit that the fact is both of these things need worked on. They're both way out of date. And so either way it went, I was completely okay with it. So.
Okay. So, what about you, Anna? Did you think VIP should have been first versus rewards, or did it really matter?
Well, it matters. I think VIP is something that for many is working just fine, and there's other more pressing issues that need to be discussed.
What about you, Cosmic? Did you I know you're new to the game. Do you have VIP currently or no?
I do, and I actually poured in. I'm ranked 7 VIP right now. Poured in a little money to try to get perks from it. So I thought it was interesting. Top tackle, a lot of MOs get separated, especially free to play. They get separated by what the bonuses are for paying for a subscription, right? So I thought it was an interesting topic. A lot of good improvements that can come from. But like you said, I'm new, so I haven't been around long enough to know as much about VIP as others. But from what I see, there's definitely improvements that can be made. Definitely help improve the overall game.
Yeah, I know. Like one of the things I noticed on your stream the other day was that so he's only actually VIP 7, and some of the people he's running around with that he's brought into the game are only like VIP 3. So was the idea of like making VIP like the full thing like all at once like a good idea to you?
Yeah, honestly, totally honest, the reason why I really invested is because I hate having to go back to play or else mailbox or having to look like the small task. Probably not like as an people watch. I want to get in combat and character efficient. Having to go back and forth to small things like that, I kind of take away from. Okay. So I wanted to have a mailbox right away. I wanted to have a travel right away that I could set a most note without having to kind of interfere with the overall flow. So I think it's useful. I think it's not just because I'm a streamer, but I think in general not to have to, take 10 minutes to go do. Just have it right there.
Great. Okay. What about you, Willow? About topic? Like, I know because you've had. So on the other side of the spectrum, just to give context here. So where people are running around, they've maybe got like 3 or 4 months, or maybe like even a year. Willow's got like a lot of years.
I've got a lot of years.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. This game will be gone before I'm out of VIP.
Right.
Put it that way. It doesn't matter how long this platform lasts. But yeah. So my initial thought when the VIP topic was introduced was why? What's the driving force behind this? And I don't think we really got a great explanation of what the true driving force was behind it. But I think it was actually a great topic to have before rewards, because I think VIP and talking about rewards in VIP and the VIP system really naturally flows into the rewards topic. It really helps to inform on that, to really think broader than just what drops in a lockbox, or not a lockbox, but in a chest at the end of a dungeon, because it comes down to lockboxes and all the other things that floods the economy because of VIP keys. So yeah, I mean,
I agree to disagree on that one. I think rewards should have been spoken about first to lead into how VIP can be better.
Okay, well that's fair. So on the topics like within the CDP, right? I'm assuming some of you got a chance to read some of them, or at least like the summaries at the end. What did you find like about the CDP? Like when it as it evolved, like did it change your opinion? Yeah.
We're just skipping Ranger Reek.
No, I didn't think. Well, Ranger Reek. Well, no, I mean Ranger. Well, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. Ranger Reek, go ahead. Say it.
Well, I mean, just to echo like both Willow and Enna's points, like I do think VIP naturally is connected to rewards. I think the VIP discussion could have been held in tandem with the rewards. I don't think it should have been necessarily a separate topic in and of itself. But I mean, like they said, one feeds the other, and when they first announced that they weren't going to do rewards right away, my initial reaction was that they were doing like a series of rewards based CDPs, and VIP was just where they were going to start, and then next we're going to be like lockbox stuff, and then rewards and dungeons and whatnot. So my thought was that they were just tying a bunch of reward based CDPs together, through VIP being the starting one.
Okay. So, I mean, I know one of the things I noticed when I have here, Rick, was like at the beginning, you posted your suggestion, like your proposal, I guess is the best way to term it. And, I noticed that, so at the beginning, you started off in one period of thought. Did you actually change? Like, did your thought process change on the VIP, like in what it was?
It really did. I've been a long time VIP member. I think I lapsed once last year, but for the most part, since like 2000, I want to say 14 or 15, I've been a VIP member. So a lot of the benefits that come with that, I don't necessarily see, right? I mean, like, I don't remember that they're there. I just take it for granted. So originally I was like, well, maybe there should be ranks. And then I've kind of bounced back and forth, like all for one, or maybe having like different tiers that allow certain things. But one thing that I did change my focus on is the amenities that you get: the bank, the travel post, the mailbox. That should be available from day one for every VIP member. 100%.
Totally agreed.
Okay. Did you want to add any more to that, Cormac? Or
well, I mean,
Cosmic?
I like. Oh, sorry.
Cosmic jumped in and said totally agree with you. So was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Cosmic?
No, I think totally right about it. It should be available for all. I think I even saw a lot of people suggest that would have that all because it's a really utility thing. Doesn't really provide any something else. Nice.
So you're thinking
balance thing.
Right. So quality of life stuff you think should be all at once, and then there are other stuff that actually pop up. Like there's discounts to Wonders Bazaar. There's like posting fees. There's like I'm trying to think. You actually get more keys, I think, to like more reroll tokens, I guess there, and more potions as you level up too.
Right. Yeah, I just think like a lot of the quality of life, in my opinion, is something that nice part of VIP bar VIP one that's all available. It's a good incentive to get other stuff, but I don't think quality of life lends
Okay.
much to purchasing higher ranks all the time. But that's all that's available. Kind of said it.
Okay. What about you, Timmy?
Well, I try to look at it from both sides, veteran players to new players. Obviously, there's going to be some disagreements there, especially from the veteran players. You're looking at it as, okay, we've been buying it month by month or whatever. We worked our way up to rank 12, so now we get all these extra little benefits, especially like the Wondrous Bazaar. Some people like me, I'm buying these marks of potencies at a cheaper price. Then I'm posting them on the auction house, talking about like summer event and stuff here, getting them really cheap. And then I post them to get more AD back in my value. But now you're basically saying, okay, all these new guys can get the same benefits as me instead of, when they couldn't afford like mark of potency rank 6 or 75,000 AD, they weren't getting them at 75,000 AD on the Wondrous Bazaar, so they would go to the auction house and look for the better buy there from sellers like me. So now all of a sudden these veteran players are getting a little antsy, and they're just like, why are these guys getting the same benefit as me, and I've already put in way more AD converted to Zen, and bought in all my VIP ranks. So I'm for like both. How do I want to put this?
I think what you're saying is that you're like, I think what you're trying to get at is that like if somebody's dedicated, like been very loyal and has gotten the highest ranking that's possible in VIP, and it should be easier like for them to convert like basically their VIP like into AD, so that they like, so as opposed to rough astral diamonds, like just straight AD, so then they can then purchase more VIP for free, essentially, right?
Yeah. So, but like I said, I'm still totally like for the whole thing where new players get all the benefits right away. But I am trying to look at this from both sides of why veteran players might get a little mad about it, and I can see why new players would be totally ecstatic about it. But I'm just trying to look at it from both points of views, and I can just see the reasoning, but behind both sides is all.
Right. What about you, Anna? Do you think that like?
Do I think what?
Well, I mean, do you think that what Tim just said, like that, I mean, the idea, should VIP be a way for somebody to actually, get more like AD, out of the economy?
I feel like that's a yes, but you might be asking the wrong person because I don't do that myself. I've never looked at VIP as a way to earn more VIP. And it should also be noted currently I don't have VIP. Well, I get where Timmy's coming from. Like it's a way, like once you've made the AD to convert to be able to continue to get VIP via AD, you're going to want to use that to continue that process. For people that are just purchasing it with cash, which would be in my case, were I still a VIP, I would just buy it. Like it's, for me, it's an entertainment value. I spend money on entertainment. I wouldn't hesitate if I felt VIP was worth it at the moment to go in and purchase it. I'm not looking to make AD off of it. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about that.
Well, no.
Do I think that new players need the quality of life benefits sooner rather than later? Absolutely.
So before I jump to Willow to finish off that round, was basically what I wanted to ask you, because I knew you didn't have VIP, was, what were one of the things that you decided, like, I mean, you talked about an entertainment value. you weren't getting the value out of the VIP that you thought you needed, or you weren't playing the game enough to continue using it, like to see the
Both.
value. What particular parts of the existing VIP did you find like were not of value at all? Like other than, because I mean, obviously, you know, you happen to travel with people that have VIP, so you have access to some of the VIP stuff, the posts and stuff occasionally, but
That is true. So I've been without VIP for about 3 months now.
mhm.
I can say that the only thing I've missed has been the travel post. And that's only really in areas where it's a good distance to go. I mean, I do have legendary mount speed now. So it's, for me, not being a new player on the, slow mount, let's say, for me, it is very quick to get to anywhere I need to be to grab that portal to go. And that's really been the only thing I've missed. Because quite frankly, without VIP, once you're at some place that you can travel to, there are many places where everything else is easily accessible very quickly. Stronghold, you've got your mailbox, you've got your guild bank, you've got your bank, it's all right, and mailbox, it's all right there, right? Protector's Enclave, it's a little bit more of a hassle, but Yawning Portal, it's all right there. So yeah, I haven't, that's about it. That's all I've missed. Lockboxes, RNG sucks for me. I've never gotten anything good out of it with the hundreds, almost thousands of dollars I've spent on the game in the past. So
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm losing anything there at all.
I feel that.
Yeah. Willow, what about, so like on to you, same question.
Okay, well, I've got actually a lot to talk about on this one, but I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
So, kind of starting with the first question, did my position evolve? Yeah, it definitely evolved. There are certain hard points like VIP ranks and stuff I didn't evolve on. When I talk about evolution of my stance during the course of the CDP, it really was expanding on kind of the idea of the superstore. I mean, we can talk about that more, later or at a different point. But when it comes to VIP ranks, I am a very strong proponent of there being no ranks of VIP, unless we came out and said, if you're going to buy rank, let's say there's just 2 ranks at the end of the day. If you're going to buy rank 2, it costs more, and here are the extra benefits. Anyone that already has VIP is grandfathered into VIP 1, which gives all the same current benefits now with some, revamps, reworks of stuff, kind of the superstore idea that I was talking about. But from a VIP value perspective, I'm using VIP stuff all the time, every day, invoking outside of prayer circles, our campfires. I'm using it for the mailbox. I'm using it for the bank. I'm using it for fast travel. I do use it for the Wondrous Bazaar discount on occasion. I mean, I'm using VIP benefits all the time, using the posting fee in the auction house. I mean, I don't think there's a VIP benefit that I don't currently use.
Right. And of all of those wins that you use, which one has the least amount of value to you?
Oh, least amount of value to me?
Yep.
Bonus XP.
Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah. Smallest amount of value, that bonus XP.
Moonstone Mask Travel.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Actually, you got a really good point in the Moonstone Mask Travel. Though the Moonstone Mask is a great place to park characters for quick loading if you're doing invoking on multiple characters.
For sure.
Because the Moonstone Mask tends to load pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, and I'm not going to defend the Moonstone Mask thing here at all, but what I would say is that if you usually are stuck like in a bug situation and you can't get out, traveling to the Moonstone Mask actually solves that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, because I mean, sometimes you can't even roll up a post to go somewhere else, but the Moonstone Mask thing actually resolves the issue. So, I mean, maybe it could be somewhere else, right? So we don't have to go directly to the Moonstone, but
For sure.
But there were
I
some
would just
people
like to bring up something real quick.
Sure.
Those that have VIP are going to be using the benefits of VIP. We can all agree on that.
Mhm.
And you're going to be using them regularly. And like Ranger Reek said and Lord Willow said, it becomes it just becomes part of the game when you've had it for so long.
Right.
I had it from the day I started playing almost 4 years ago now. And it's only been in the last couple months that I haven't had it. And I can tell you it's not that difficult not to have it.
For sure.
That's all.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on that because of how I play the game. The way I play the game with, the auction stuff I do and with the amount of hoarding I do, not having quick access to the bank and the mailbox would be a killer for me. It would considerably slow down, my gameplay and make it actually kind of miserable. I'll be honest.
So raising Anna's point there. So I mean, what could we add? What would be addable to VIP that would add value so that Anna would say, "Oh yeah, maybe I should actually get that." Like that's like I have to have that. Out of all the stuff that you saw suggested on there, or something that you didn't see that was suggested on there.
I think being able to change your loadout anywhere as a VIP. I think better rewards. Obviously.
So what do you mean by
For the-
rewards? Like you're talking about
for the value of what you're buying.
Do you mean like
I
choice,
think-
like the superstore?
Well, okay, so we had a conversation and Willow posted it basically, and
Mhm.
that is getting rid of all these stores we have, putting it into one, and being able to purchase what you want from that store based on what you're getting from VIP would absolutely do it for me. If that was in place, I'd sign up for VIP again in a heartbeat. I also agree with Willow that there should not be any ranks in VIP.
All right, Timmy, what do you think about that?
For what they're talking about with the stores and stuff, yes, completely agree. I mean, it needs to either be one store. I mean, we already got the legacy campaign. What is it? There's a store in the PvP. You're getting the same rewards out of it, basically, just using different currency. It's completely useless. I mean, just put it all into one store and one currency, clean up the game a little bit. Far as maybe suggesting another idea, I didn't get to post my suggestion on the forums just due to the fact I've been busy with work. I was thinking maybe if you're a VIP member, other games have done this. There's obviously we get our login bonus by logging in, getting our key, our reroll tokens every day. Well, why not start like a calendar thing? Like, day one, you get this reward, day two, day three. And then I don't know, maybe like a game like Warframe, they got an unlimited thing. It's just like day 100, you get like this, pretty badass mod or whatever, or then day 1000 is a really epic reward. I mean, if we played 1,000 days straight on Neverwinter, I think that deserves a free leg mount of choice at that point. But day 50, maybe a coal ward or a stack of Prez wards or something.
So like one of those chocolate calendars, right? Like
Yeah,
okay.
basically, yes.
Like an advent calendar.
An advent
Yes.
calendar, yeah.
Yeah, so either like a calendar or just like if they can think far enough ahead, just like 1,000 days or so on. But if they want to do it month by month, that works for me too. But that's just a suggestion on my end, what I would like to see added. Maybe other players would like to see that too.
What about you, Rick? I'm leaving Willow for last because he's going to go into a superstore thing.
I really liked when I was going through. I really did like the idea of a superstore, because when I look at my inventory, my bank inventory or my currency inventory, it's ridiculous. Like there are so many different currencies I have, and to access them, I have to go all over the Sword Coast to spend those. So I think the idea of a superstore would be amazing, and you could put stuff in there like with the VIP currency, right? Like you could get your co-wards after so many points or whatever. But I really don't like the fact that they brought up maybe getting rid of your daily login key for your box, even though RNG is atrocious for most people. But you could put currencies in there that, like, I think somebody had suggested in there, set amount of currency per login, which then you could purchase a key. It gives you agency on what your VIP means to you, and you're able to put more of a focus on what you want to get out of your own VIP experience.
A choice, yeah.
Yeah. Anna brought up the loadout, switching the loadouts. I'm a former DC Universe Online player, and when they added that feature to switch loadouts, it changed the scope of any given dungeon that we could be in. And if you were a VIP member, you could switch it out, like, out of combat anywhere in the world, and then if you were in combat, it put you on a timer, so it wouldn't so you wouldn't just be abusing that in, like, a random queue, for instance. Or disabling it in a random queue. But the ability to switch between loadouts, I think, would be an awesome addition as well.
Cosmic, go ahead.
I think, well, first off, this sort of is like the best idea I've ever. I can tell you, player, my God, the amount of current tabs, places to buy, like, I have whatever went to helping me out, I would never have a lot of.
You're breaking up a little bit, Cosmic, by the way.
A lot.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay,
how about now?
Yeah, it's better.
That's better. Like I said, the store is intimidating all the out. I don't know how value everybody, but I think vault space, like, benefit to have, especially character. I think that would be a huge benefit in my eyes, especially if I want to start a character and have stuff to transfer over without having to purchase it. I think it's a nice VIP to have.
So you're talking about space, like space and actual, in like bag space and vault space, right?
Yeah, I mean like actual vault bank,
right?
Not actual character.
Okay. So now, lastly, to Willow. So I mean, well, no, I mean, and no reason why, because I mean, you know, both Willow and I kind of share a little bit of a passion because we chat about this at ad nauseum, like after hours,
almost every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Real quick. I also like Timmy's idea. It wasn't on the forums, but I really like Timmy's idea.
Yep. No. Go ahead. So go ahead, Willow.
Okay, so changing loadouts anywhere, I think that's a fantastic thing. I would love to see that added to VIP. I want to throw that out there right now. I think that would be a huge value add, and it would instantly attract a number of people just to run VIP. Think about how many dungeons that we run that it's like you got to run backwards to go change the loadout. And there's some classes that you really do need to change loadouts between boss and trash, or you're vastly underperforming. But the true passion, obviously, I had for this VIP was kind of the superstore idea, you know, and it evolved to the point where we were talking about combining, you know, PvP rewards, legacy campaigns, a Wondrous Bazaar, Invoking, Tarmaline Trade Bar Store, and VIP kind of all into one store. So all of those are different ways to earn currency towards that store. You know, and kind of an example how it might work is lockbox keys would now be in that store, right? So you would go and collect every day, and on your first character you're collecting on, or the character of your choice, you would collect, you know, let's say 103 tokens. Lockbox key costs 100 tokens, reroll token costs, or reroll costs 1 token each, right? And then on subsequent characters, you would collect, you know, say 3 tokens each. So you would still be able to buy your reroll tokens on every character if you so choose, or you could say, you know what, I want to eliminate the risk of having this, and now let's allow me to buy other things. So let's say, and then you do a full round of invoking, and let's say you earn 4 more tokens that way. You can earn tokens doing legacy campaigns, and they could even open that up so you could buy tokens with Zen. So you could go spend Zen and go buy tokens. They could move some things right off the Zen market that are on for Zen right now and just put them in that store. Again, coalescent wards, preservation wards could come right off of Zen. Just buy the tokens for Zen and go spend it how you see fit. And again, you know, and then it's a balance of, what needs to be account bound versus unbound in there. I think certain things should definitely remain unbound if you're buying it with those currencies, and there's certain things that, by necessity for the economy probably need to stay bound. And that's a conversation we can have, later on, when they do this, right? When we talk rewards, when we talk, when they're actually implementing this, if they were to implement something like this.
Right. I'm not going to. We even expanded it to the point where these coins could replace drops like in dungeons, right?
Right. So for older dungeons, instead of having all these different seals, we have seals for the newest content, right? That'll time gate, grabbing that new gear. But anything that's older than that, move all of that gear into the store and just have tokens. And so now you can just spend tokens to get these old gear transmutes or older gear, and then you time gate still with seals. So basically, what they could do is say they don't even have to change seals. Then it could just be the same old seals, and then just keep continuing on. So there's a lot of flexibility in that.
Right. So it means, and again, adding more value to the VIP, but it also means that people with non-VIP still have access to the same stuff. It's just that it's going to accumulate a lot slower. Right.
Right.
Okay. So I guess that you brought up the thing at the end of your thing was, and it's one of the things that we did want to talk about was, so we did the CIP, we did the VIP, we know what the next one's going to be. One of the things, and Chris even made a post on there, we talked about there's a roadmap for 2020, right? Like he talked, like one of his first streams, that there was going to be a roadmap, and they were going to release it to us so we could see this roadmap. It's been delayed, right? And he kind of answered the question saying that some of the CDPs are setting this up. Do you think that's a good thing, or, is that a good thing that this roadmap has been sort of delayed because the CDPs are going to get incorporated into it? Anna?
Yeah. I have so many opinions. My head just went like 5 different directions all at once. Yes. Maybe you should let somebody else go.
Okay.
Let me think about this for a second.
One word answers only.
What about Rick? Rick, what do you think?
Well, I think, as with communication, it's always good to be transparent, right? And like Lord Willow always, he's always saying the transparency is going to be really good. The delay of the roadmap being tied to certain CDP topics, in my opinion, can only benefit the community, because this is going to be, it's not something that's going to be implemented and changed overnight. So as long as, and I think with Chris, there's going to be a lot of follow through that we've never really been accustomed to seeing from their end. So I think as long as it comes as if the roadmap is released in a semi-timely fashion, right? Like after or before with the rewards topic,
right?
I think it's a good thing.
So so it gives you a little bit more hope, and that it's a little bit more of a given,
sure,
of an exchange, like good and like from both sides,
for
here, right?
sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to add one more piece to this, so that other guys, you can think about this while I'm doing this, but I'm going to force Rick to answer it right away. So do you think that this VIP CDP actually came to nothing because there was no proposal?
I think a lot of people are going to view it as that, as such, as it didn't come, like nothing valuable may have come from it. From my perspective, like I said earlier when we were first talking, I do think that it seems almost like it was just like a I'm dipping my toe in the water moment, where they're like, we're going to see how volatile this CDP thing can really get. I know early on in the responses to the forum post that there were a lot of people like, hey, where's my reward topic? I'm a little bit disappointed that there's not any kind of proposal coming through it. And like I said, it almost seems like they had made up their mind with what they're going to do. They just wanted to gauge our reactions to what they were going to do. And I think because of our reactions as a community, certain things that they had suggested that were going to happen aren't going to come through. And I think maybe certain things, aka the superstore, might actually get implemented. So I hope that answered the question.
Well, it means that you still think that there's actually potentially some change to VIP, so that's okay.
Sure.
Are you ready yet, Anna?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Ranger Reek.
You are welcome.
I think that it had become apparent that the community as a whole preferred to have something, i.e., rewards, spoken about prior to the VIP, and that for the majority of what Chris has read in there, everybody's happy with where it's at. So he's fine with that. When you read something like that, as you know, a CP or a EP, sorry, you're kind of like, okay, we're good with that. I think the reason why it came out was on the heels of what had happened. And he had good faith in trying to be transparent. But really, in fact, what happened was we would have preferred to have just gone straight into the rewards because, in my opinion, rewards is kind of tied to a lot of stuff that is going to go forward, including the superstore that could potentially come to fruition, right? Is it tied to the roadmap? I think, based on what we know about Chris currently, he would have said that with all his transparency. I think that I don't think that the two are tied in my mind. And if they are tied, that can only mean good things, really.
Okay. So what about Willow? You gonna say something, Willow?
Oh yeah, I've been sitting on the edge of my seat.
I know.
now.
I could hear
it.
I absolutely do believe that this is vital to the roadmap, and the delay in the roadmap so we can knock out some CDPs is, I think, pretty important. Again, this is without insider information, but this is the general feeling I get, and I think most of you would agree. The development team as a whole has been, over the last 5 years, been completely and utterly out of touch with the player base. So there's a little bit of constructive criticism. They really do not understand what the general player wants out of the game or enjoys out of the game, or even from a reward perspective, what's rewarding to them. And then when they release something, they go, why are so many people complaining? We don't understand. And I think these CDPs are an exercise, especially the VIP one, an exercise in getting the development team on board with understanding what the player base wants. And so that's vital to building a roadmap, because there's some brilliant folks working at Cryptic, working on this game. But if they're working in the dark and they don't really understand what the user community wants, is looking for, or will tolerate, they're not going to be able to put an effective roadmap together.
Okay. So, Cosmic, you want to jump in here? I'll leave Timmy to last because I know it's getting close to your 3:45.
Yeah, no, it was interesting hearing everybody's feedback on this. Kind of what I received too. VIP is a very sensitive subject. I'm talking in terms of proposal. I think it's their main money maker. So I think they really have to take their time kind of figure out what works for player and also them business today. So I think it's interesting that they didn't have a proposal. There's a lot of good ideas, but I think like what everybody is that everything kind of ties to the reward and everything else, and that by delaying, I think he's done. I think it just hands the game. I believe Rick said that they just make the game better. But I think it's important to have both balanced players. Something really tricky. They're going to really need to be in touch with their player, like Willow said, kind of figure out what people. Once they can really get both sides happy, it's going to be difficult because you can't always please them. So it's going to be interesting to balance both of them. But I think any kind of delay, especially video games, is nothing but love. Everybody everybody who have something as part of that program gets what they ask. It's hard to balance that all out. So it's just kind of everybody's kind of echoed what I was. Sorry,
That's
that was
okay.
my 2 cents I wanted to put in.
No, that's fine. So lastly, Timmy. I mean, one of the things that comes out of this, partly with the VIP changes and stuff, and the market and everything, is also it's going to be a little bit different for console because, I mean, the other, elephant in the room obviously is the difference between the markets, right? So, what do you think?
Mhm. Well, I mean, if we're still on the topic of the roadmap and stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
the way I look at it, being delayed, I always have looked at as delayed, like content delayed, anything is almost a plus. Like it's a positive. It's like saying, okay, we're taking the time to listen to you guys, or hey, we're trying to fix a bug before we release something, So the way I look at it, if they're delaying the roadmap, they're trying to obviously, like Ranger Reek said, they're dipping their toe in. They're trying to see how our reactions are. Maybe they're delaying it to see how we all react towards certain things, what we would prefer out of certain things. That way they can make a more accurate and a more promising roadmap. So
Okay. So while we're kind of like talking a little about the roadmap, like, so what would be like the next, like, so he comes out with the roadmap to achieve whatever the changes are going to be, at what point would you, like, I mean, is that like the thing that, we've achieved something, that the roadmap is out and then stuff we talked about in the CDP is listed, like what they're going to do? Or is it, I mean, how much transparency needs to be had? Like, because I mean, like, as I say, for example, VIP, there's no actual proposal. I can't think that, like, even in the previous CDP that there was a proposal, but I didn't really get a sense of what what's coming out of it. You know what I mean? So is it, we're still going to be waiting to, is it going to be like, do the changes have to be listed in the CDP that they're making, like in the proposal, like, in this roadmap? Or is that going to be enough? Or is it going to be seeing the actual changes in game, right? Like what, because I mean, that's, do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so what do you think? I'll start with Cosmic because he's got to go in a second or two. Go ahead. And then maybe he's already gone.
He's probably already gone.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back to him then. So, Rick, what do you think then?
From the standpoint of what they would release on a, especially my point of view, if they had like, they don't have to be in depth, like, I don't know, itineraries of what they're going to do with that. But like, say in 3 months we're going to get this, and then as we get closer to that, it's like when I planned family vacations, right? And we were going to drive cross country. We pick spots that we're going to stop overnight. And then while we're driving to that spot, there may be certain things that we come across that we want to stop and see. So you can add to the roadmap as you go. And as we get closer to our milestones, they can open up and do more of a in-depth look or conversation or another CDP. I also think it would be prudent for them to add in that roadmap when they're going to implement certain changes, as well as like estimated time of arrival type things. So any information that they give us is good. I'm going to take it with a little bit of understanding that there's going to be a lot of things that they're not going to divulge to us until it gets closer to release points for whatever is coming from these CDPs.
Okay. Willow?
Sure. So at the end of the day, this is a software development company, and it comes down to SDLC. That's basically system development lifecycle or software development lifecycle. The roadmap at the end of the day needs to look something like an outline for that. Basically, the roadmap ends up becoming goalposts that they measure themselves against. They don't have to be super detailed goalposts, and I think we as a community should will learn to understand that. But it could be, VIP overhaul, July 2020, or
But here's like, so
new
here's my question, right? So we don't, at this
Mhm.
point, given the there's lack of proposal,
Mhm.
we don't really know
Right.
CIV, like VIP overhaul, what it is.
Well, I was just using that as an example.
okay.
So the things that they identify in the next couple of CDPs, and then along with kind of that first CDP, goes into kind of that roadmap of what's coming, along with module releases, and then the team then has that roadmap, and we see the roadmap, and that roadmap is what they themselves as a development team, use to measure themselves, and we as a community use to measure them. Did they deliver this content? Were they able to meet scope? And these things. And remember, Chris has kind of talked about, in reading between the lines, they're going towards a kind of a mixed like waterfall and agile approach. Waterfall for like the big stuff, and more of an agile like a sprint per se, right? So those of you in here are not software developers, think of a sprint as a 2 to 4 week, or however long you want that process to be, sprint of gathering requirements and doing development and delivering content. So everything happens in that sprint, and basically the idea is you don't deliver like a full product every 4 weeks. You're delivering chunks of a product, right? And so as you go along, even though it can be a little messier in the process, but there's a lot more back and forth between the community and the development team, or in this case, stakeholders and users and the development team, and you just wind up at the end of the day with a better product. Because right now, how they're doing it and how they've been doing it is they put all the plans together at the start, and then they run, and then they get to the finish line and they go, we're at the deadline now, we couldn't do these things, so we cut them out. But these were all the big plans we've worked on for the last 6 months.
As an example, like I'm the master crafting, right, which has been put off basically, I think, for 3 modules, and I think, or at least 2 anyways, and then also a new class has been put off now, I want to say, for like 3 modules, 2 to 3 modules. Am I wrong?
Right. And those are big bang things where they have to like put all the pieces together, and all the other pieces have to fit in for them to put those in, rather than going at it in smaller chunks and saying, you know what, we don't have to deliver master crafting all in one shot. Let's deliver master crafting for alchemy, and then next month we'll deliver master crafting for armor smithing, right? So going at it with more of a sprint type mentality and delivering piecemeal, you wind up with a better product at the end of the day.
Okay. Anna.
I think that based on the current mentality of the community, they're walking a fine line, right? They're at this point where they want to be transparent, but the community will take what they say and hold it as gospel. And if it's not delivered, well, by God, it's just one more lie that Cryptic's given us. I think as far as the roadmap goes, they need to be clear about the fact that this is all works in progress, right? And things are subject to change according to the CDP. That was my first like knee-jerk reaction to any sort of detail on the roadmap, right? I think with your initial question that what they've done in regards to the CDP can be delivered to us via the patch notes. We've always had patch notes. They can list specifically in patch notes what they've done according to the CDP and the discussions that were held within, and what changes that they've made going forward according to the CDP, or CDPs, as the case may be, at the time.
That's interesting. So you'd like to see, like, in patch notes, if some of the changes made are relative to a CDP, like it referenced.
Absolutely, because I think that would go a long way to saying we had the CDP, we listened, this is what we've done, and this is what's in the patch note. You know, this is what you can see in the patch.
Okay.
And that would sort of hold them, not necessarily accountable, but hold them to not just saying they're going to do a CDP and not doing anything about it, but actually showing us that they have.
Okay.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Sure.
I just kind of want to get everybody. If there was a put-up, had goals set up, you guys were talking about for this date we're here, we're trying to be here. Then this date you're working on this CDP, and if they actually had some visual look was delayed, would you rather have something that's out now as our goal, rather than, or have enough to have some confirmed that this is what you're shooting for target? If that makes sense.
I think what he said, like, I mean, because some of it was a little broken up, and so for people listening, I think what he was saying, what would we rather have, like the goals, like, is that what he's saying? The goals set, and then and
they had
well, I mean, it's kind of what we're just. I think that's kind of what we're talking about is the roadmap is essentially like a set of goals, like that they have going forward, for the next year, and I'm assuming, if I'm not wrong, that they're going to have like either monthly or quarterly goal posts, like for completion of whatever these particular things are, and I think it would be helpful in both cases, like Anna said, that if we're going to do a list of patch notes or whatever it's going to come out, that there are some things like, and it also would help them internally, what stuff they managed to get done, like relative to CDP, and stuff that still needed to be done relative to CDP. Right.
I think that would be an amazing thing. What Anna just suggested about the patch notes, it's like a double-edged sword then, because then we see as a community that they are listening to us, right? And I think, like Anna had touched on, that is the fine line that they're walking, is that a bulk of the community is just waiting for them to fall off that rope and be like, haha, we knew you were going to lie to us again.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also important for them to be able to, because then, if you don't realize the scope of the project, then sometimes, like Willow said, stuff's going to fall off, right?
Right.
And then, maybe those things that didn't make it, through to get completed within that time frame, then shift to a different mechanism, rather than, like he talks about sprint, right? Like Mastercraft is the perfect example in my mind. Rather than doing everything at once, do each profession separately. Timmy, what about you, buddy?
No, I pretty much agree with what you guys have been saying on all that topic. So I don't really have anything to add.
Okay. Okay, so we did talk about like on our last podcast we did, we talked about what was coming next, right? So we know now, and I'm gonna have different people talking, like possibly on the next podcast. We're still lining those people up, but one of the things that's come up is the PvP voices are very loud in this community. There's not a lot of them, but they're very loud, and so during the next CDP, which would be Rewards of Progression, there's going to be a shortened PvP CDP, which is described as dealing with low-hanging fruit. What the hell do you think that means?
I don't know, but I don't think there's any low-hanging fruit in PvP. They just need to go in there with like a bunch of lumberjacks and cut that forest down and replant it completely.
Okay.
But that's just my 2 cents.
Well, we generally do have a PvE audience here, so, but at the same token, you can all admit that they're very loud, right? And that there are
yeah.
Agreed.
Yes.
I don't want them to get rid of PvP. Like I've been dabbling.
I am a big PvPer. But my whole background is PvP, up until Neverwinter. And there has got to be some serious
Amen.
changes to PvP
Amen.
before I would even consider stepping into that arena.
Well, I mean, we have to remember PvP has been severely neglected, and everything that has been done for PvP probably since Mod 2 has been mostly lipstick on a pig.
For
I mean,
sure.
It definitely has that feel.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And there are some core things that cause a problem in PvP in Neverwinter. You know, everything, you know, and there's a number of them. It's not one thing. So
No, it's not. It's many, many.
picking that low hanging fruit, my fear is that turns into bushels of low hanging fruit, right?
It's a band-aid.
I mean, quite frankly, what Ranger Reek said would be about the best thing that they could do for PvP in this game is just to scrap it and start over. And is that viable for Cryptic? I don't think so.
Right.
I mean, like low hanging fruit to me, honestly, was so one of the suggestions I think that was discussed, like, because last night I even got like on Flounder on his stream, I got them to remove their armor enchantments because basically, to a large degree, Flounder was he was wearing a bark shield, and it was based. People were hitting him for like 140k, and he was like, yeah, like it was like shrugging it off.
Yep.
Armor enchant's gone. Can't use them in PvP. Now, so like just using that one example, like the fight seemed a little bit more balanced, right? Is it, you know, I mean, are those the key? Like, I mean, one of the things they talk about is a lot of the PvE community is, you know, this is a way for Cryptic to make a lot of money because there's a lot of PvPers out there. A lot of them have left the game. A lot of them will never come back. But I mean, selling enchantments or getting people to, you know, invest in enchantments or rank up enchantments for PvP, and because, like, you know, it changes over time as other balances happen. I mean, should this thing really be all by itself? Like, have different, like, I mean, it's, for me, what I remember most was that PvP became like the only part of the game that was pay to win. And so that whole pay to win thing came in, and you know, the rest of the game got tainted by this pay to win thing that was going on in PvP.
Well, sorry to interrupt.
No.
As long as enchantments, you know, our weapon, armor enchantments, certain mount insignias, artifacts, are a balance shifter to the extreme that they are right now in PvP, PvP will remain pay to win, especially with the number of people in the game. And then you add the fact that the PvP community, you know, in your own words, Haster, kind of eats itself, right? There's a whole bunch of factors that keeps the population queuing into PvP relatively low, and they really all need to be addressed. You know, and you and I, Haster, have had a lot of conversations about this, and you know, and I think we're partly in agreement on this, that PvP really needs its completely separate set of equipment, its own basically inventory bags, and completely separated from PvE.
I don't think it needs its own inventory bags, but I agree it does need to be completely separate.
Well, if you want to be serious with PvE and PvP, your inventory bloat, you're not going to have space for it. That's why I suggest separate bags.
It depends on how it's facilitated. It could be something as simple as just a gear change.
Well, I could just
which
have
would only require 5 slots, which to me is nothing.
What's more than that? I mean, it would honestly need a, like, you could have it, like, literally, legitimately, you could just have a PvP slot, right? So all this stuff, because if you're going to separate it, you have your own.
From what it sounds like to me is that that's going to convolute it a little bit more than what it needs to be, maybe overcomplicating it a little bit.
So think about it. You know, if I have a PvP build I've been working on, now I've got extra gear, I've got different artifacts that I have slotted, and I have different mount insignia slotted in mounts. And so that's all space that every time I swap a loadout, I need that free inventory space.
That's assuming that stuff is going to be needed. It could be something as simple as not using insignia mount stats.
Yeah, right.
And
take
it just
completely out. Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to come out. It just doesn't proc.
Right.
When you go into the PvP arena.
I know Timmy plays a little PvP in his Ranger days too, but
way back.
It sounds like it's overcomplicating a little bit. You don't need another bag. It can just simply be when you go into the PvP arena, it just doesn't work.
One thing,
And therefore
I would like,
nothing's going into your bag because
Okay.
you're not,
Okay,
just
right.
because you're not using it.
So, Reek, you want to say something? Go ahead.
one thing I would like to see them do. I know when they did the big Mod 16 rollover, and they were saying they made it. They said they were going to try and bring it more in line with Dungeons and Dragons in and of itself. I hate bringing up another game again. The only thing I liked about PvP in DC Universe was there was a separate, like, so they had what was called Legends PvP, and they took all of the characters from all over the DC Universe. You have Batman and Superman and all the Green Lanterns, and you would unlock them and you would play as those guys. They had their own equipment, they had their own power sets, and then it basically came just from skill. There are enough quote unquote legends in the Dungeons and Dragons realm where you could do something similar to that, which would make it completely skill based. And you could add something in your superstore with a PvP token that you would unlock Dritz, or you could unlock Brunner Battlehammer and then go into PvP as them. You could also have what they did also was they had a separate, your own tune PvP, the regular PvP that was all gear based. So I don't know. That was just something that I enjoyed about PvP in a different game.
Well,
That's a fantastic idea.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm
that's fine.
check that.
Yeah, that's very similar to Lord of the Rings, which
Yeah,
I've PvP'd, and I was talking earlier to a few people about it, in that they had, you could go to creep side, you could actually fight against people that were, say, in here as a bad guy. You could go in and level up a warg or an orc or a spider, and you could actually fight against like us as the guardians of Neverwinter.
right.
It's very similar to Guild Wars 2. That's actually how they set it up now. They reworked their PvP system into where you essentially, when you log into the PvP, you don't actually have to put on any gear or anything else. It's basically you have 2 loadouts for your particular class, and then you just choose which one you want, and it does all your stats and everything else all automatically. And then you, like, based on what class you brought in, right? And away you go. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously the only issue with that obviously is, you predetermined your role. And if everyone else in your group, your random group, chooses the same role, it could be a problem. Timmy, go ahead. Like, this is going to be one of the last ones that we're going to do. So
Okay.
your floor is yours.
I mean, I totally agree with Reek on the adding like a whole different mode, playing as different characters from the actual D&D lore. So I wouldn't say it necessarily just needs to come down to that being the only mode, but adding a secondary mode. Yeah, I mean, that would definitely make it more player friendly for the not so competitive PvP players, so to speak. So other than that, I mean, back when I PvP'd, I mean, it was a very broken time. I mean, this is when tenacity was still a thing. I don't know how many of you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say, back then my ranger, broken,
Yep.
it just flat out ignored tenacity. So they figured the best way to fix that, remove it. So, I mean, every time they've tried to fix PvP, it's just come down to nerfing or removing certain mechanics, or, and you guys are talking about, I think Gray said something about weapon enchantments, like the bark shield and stuff, or armor enchant, sorry. I mean, I guess the only suggestion I could make is just maybe make PvP gear that, you can't slot enchantments. Maybe just make it flat out very high statted gear, but just no enchantments. Maybe there needs to be a separate set of skills, like on the character when you're picking your powers. There just needs to be powers for PvP instead of saying this power is halved in PvP area.
That's a good idea.
So
Yeah, I
instead of
like
saying,
that idea.
so saying, like most powers, like, oh, this will stun an enemy for 3 seconds, but in PvP, only a second and a half, blah, blah, blah. So maybe having separate powers and it'll actually make it to where, oh, I want to go play play PvP because I want to see what these powers are like. It's not just the same old powers over and over again. It's something different. That would require obviously scrapping PvP and starting fresh, like Reek said.
But I think that would draw new players in.
For sure.
I mean, you could add. I mean, really, realistically, what you could do is you could just like that could be the project. As suppose you just leave, you stop trying to fix this thing that's broken, and you bring in a new set that uses the same maps, like a new queue with different options, right? Like,
right.
But yeah, Cosmic, I think, is actually on his computer at home now. So, do you have anything to say about any of the stuff that we've been talking about? I know you've been like picking up your kids, so. You here? Oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
The lights are on and nobody's home.
It's possible. Well, just he's been trying really hard. He wanted to be a part of it, and I thought it was important that he be here.
Yeah,
he may not have an opinion on PvP because, as I say, he's only been playing it for like a month or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most new players, nothing against him, but most new players normally won't have an opinion on it. Because let's face it, if you go in there first time by yourself and say you wait till you're like rank 80 to get in there, what usually happens to players like that, they get absolutely stomped and they do not have a good time in there. I mean,
it's horrible.
It's
or they get kicked.
Or they get
exactly.
Yeah.
The kick feature needs to go. Personal opinion. That should not be a thing. They're just trying to earn glory for themselves or their strongholds. I mean,
what about eliminating going in as groups? Like I think having open world maps and eliminating the dungeon aspect of it is just the way to go, and have you earn so yeah, sorry, Ranger and I, we have PvP in other games, but in Lord of the Rings, you earn ranks, and with those ranks in a store, you get certain things that only benefit you in PvP.
Yep.
And that could potentially be a thing, and then eliminating going in as groups where you could just, I don't know, you can maybe form your own groups. I don't know. I think the dungeon aspect of it just creates trouble, and the whole capture the flag thing. But that's just my opinion. People that like capture the flag sort of things. And also another way, if you wanted to keep that, because I get a lot of people like it, is not removing the kick, but having the system kick you if you stand in one spot for too long. So for instance, in Destiny, it's matchmaking, and the group that you go in with, if one person just stands there for more than 30 seconds, the game actually boots them out and then draws someone else in, potentially mid-match, because you obviously don't want to be down a person, but that could be an option as well.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back.
That's no problem.
Oh, you sound so much better.
Yeah, I'm not on a crappy cell phone now. Things could be improved. Who would have thought? The only thing I wanted to say, just really quick, about the PvP, the only thing that I was thinking of, like how you guys were describing it, I just thought of, like, I just pictured myself as a beholder, like, just like, whipping people around when they come through.
Awesome.
Like, well, how sick would it be to be a giant beholder and just be like, you're dead, like, just go through everybody.
You could play
like,
a Xanathar.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god, it would be amazing.
This needs to happen.
Laser beam on the beholder sounds
Just
fun.
laser beam. Oh my gosh, that'd be such a cool idea. Like almost like how Evolve was, and I think like you can like obviously twist it to be like your own thing in Neverwinter, make it very unique to Neverwinter. You don't have to copy somebody else's work, but you could definitely get inspiration and ideas from other games that are doing it right, and bring back some of that PvP mode that people really want and look for. And I think right now, specifically in gaming, so many people are doing like, battle royale games, and they're just so used to having a PvP option that's been established for a long time that if they revamp this, it's all positive things. It can't be a bad thing to revamp this at this point.
Yeah, I know.
And attracting a new audience to your game is never a bad thing. So I definitely think it's worth for them to look into at least.
Okay.
I have one last thing to add real quick.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking at my notes. I'm sorry, Haster. One of the things that I think just overall benefit, and this is tied into VIP, is adding some sort of a portrait frame around your name or just your class icon that shows your veteran status.
I was really,
So-
so the thing is here, I was really hoping that, like, it looks like I have to invite you to the VIP one now, Anna. Like, you've now done it, right? Like, you're showing so much passion towards this topic.
Oh my god.
that now you're gonna have to come to that one. Like, so you're gonna have to deal with Rob.
No. Oh no.
Anyways, we should.
But
Yes.
but the VIP, just real quick,
Okay.
a portrait ring around your name that like it could be a leaf or an arrow, or like one would be 1 year, 2 arrows would be 2 years, and the color could be silver. And then if you're a VIP, no matter what they are, that color would change to gold. So you would
Oh.
easily recognize people
A
who've been in the
VIP
game for a
gold.
year, for 2 years, for 3 years, but also you would recognize who had VIP status, because that would also benefit people who don't have VIP, because as I've been made aware since I don't have VIP anymore, is that if you're stood next to someone that has VIP rank 12, you can invoke without being near a campfire. And that is a benefit not many people know about.
Holy cow!
Right?
Really?
So
I'm pretty sure that is not as designed.
it might not be, but it works. So I can stand next to Haster no matter where we're at and invoke. And
I did not know that.
I did not.
I mean,
wow, I can't believe you guys didn't know this. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I
had
have an
VIP
excuse.
for so long.
And so if it's not working as intended, don't fuck with it, you guys. Like Cryptic, if you're listening, don't fuck with that. And the reason
I'm totally posting that as a bug. I am
and
totally
the reason why I
posting
say
that.
don't mess with that,
Oh.
and tying it back to the the portrait and recognizing people with veteran status and VIP status, is hopefully that's working as intended. And then you would know as a non-VIP person who has it, and you go stand next to them.
Oh, that
well,
would be-
I don't really want people in like Protectors Enclaves coming up and rubbing up against me.
I was
So
gonna say, can I
How about it'll be my-
Oh, come on, Pastor, you secretly like that.
It only
we
works
did
in Moonstone Mask.
We did just get the pet emote, right? So you can pet anyone and
oh
anything
god,
now,
yeah.
so.
I'm looking forward to that on your stream. So before we go, obviously Timmy, we're gonna post his link to Twitch in like on the bottom of the video. He doesn't have you don't have a YouTube yet, do you, Timmy? Right? And
I
then
have it, but I don't really use it.
okay, Ranger Reek, thank you again for coming. Backpedal, Cosmic,
You're
thanks for joining. I know it was a little bit like technologically challenging today with the cell phone.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's
I
okay.
appreciate being here. You guys are awesome.
No problem.
Much appreciated.
We'll get you on again because we're always gonna need the new person's view for sure. Because most of the people that do it are not new people.
Hashtag newbie for life. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to stop playing now.
Yeah, at one point he's
You
gonna
have to stay a newbie.
I mean, I started like 4 years ago. I don't know.
and Willow, of course, thank you. And I guess that's it. We'll call it so we're not gonna do her advertisement. We'll just say bye. Right?
Thank you, Hester.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Hester.
Thank you.